Am I
Ah,
on? Oh, I'm on.
yep, we're
Okay.
on.
Hi,
Hey, everybody.
everyone.
Welcome. Becca's got celebration candy because we
I
just
do.
wrapped up Destination Unknown and announced the winners to the Destination Unknown writing challenge. So, congratulations to everybody who placed in the final four. If you are hopping straight over here, welcome back. If you didn't catch that one and you want to see who the winners were, that was the live that started at 1, and you can catch it on our YouTube channel right now. The replay is still available. Just please wait till after we kick off this one, though. Becca, tell
Yes.
us a little bit about our new mini writing challenge for April.
Yes. So we are so excited to do a mini challenge. I know we've been doing month-long challenges all year, but this is a mini, and we are focusing on a single character. Now, if you are like me, we can spend a long time building out characters. Character building is actually one of my favorite things about being a writer, and Catherine and I put this together as a way to kind of expand those building techniques. Now, a lot of people come into character building. Some people like to completely pants it and say, I don't know, this is Joe, and Joe is my character, and we don't know anything about Joe. Joe's just going to tell us as we go along. And other folks like to have Joe's entire backstory completely worked out before they start writing. And other people like myself, when I'm naturally starting writing, I have a general idea of how Joe is going to fit in, but I may not know everything about him. So this challenge is going to have you stretch those character wings a little bit, and we're going to build out a complete character in 2 weeks. We B asks, do pantsers pants characters too? I mean, I'm gonna leave that to you, Catherine. Yes.
Yes, we will be pantsing a character. So I, as a pantser, am not thinking of this as I need to know the whole book and I can come back and change whatever the heck I want once the book is actually being written. But it's more of this character amuses me. In my mind, I'm actually going to follow along. Becca and I are not eligible for any prizes, but we're going to follow along a little bit. We're always writing. I have a villain that I am absolutely in love with, and I want to write about her and just completely get all her stuff. Now, of course, how much of the villain readers actually want is like this compared to how much of the main character they want. But I am going to map out my whole villain, even if only a smidge of it makes it into the book.
Yes, and this is a great exercise if you also have a bunch of plot bunnies or just little ideas about stories or characters that you just don't have a book for yet. This is a perfect challenge to kind of explore that. You can use one of your existing characters if you want to. We don't actually have rules on that, so you could do that, but we do have a worksheet that you will get via email after the kickoff, so it'll have the link to this replay, as well as a link to a worksheet. And we are that worksheet has a bunch of questions that you need to be able to answer about your character. So it's kind of like a guided challenge aspect to it. And in order to get to the submission standpoint, you do need to be able to answer those things. So do you have the slides, Catherine?
Yes, we are ready to go.
Okay. So look at our lovely characters. We can go through this quickly. So our goal is to create a complete character, one single character. If you want to create more, knock yourself out. But we're going to be judging the one.
Yeah, if you send us a file with like 15 sort of fleshed out characters, it is not going to get you through to the end. So at
No.
least one strong character.
Yep. We have built a worksheet for you. And again, it is extensive, but these are all questions that especially if you are for my pantsers and my plantsers, asking ourselves these questions before we write does not feel natural, but it does help us create a character for the purposes of this exercise. And you never know. I've done exercises like this that have turned into trilogies. Started out with me being like, I think this person needs a backstory. And then all of a sudden, 250,000 words later, I have 3 books. So
I'm
this
treating
could
mine
take
like an interview.
yeah, it is like an interview. We are going to use the worksheet and the story builder to complete this. We will talk about that in just a second. You will also have access to this worksheet. You can use it for other character things if you want to later. I just had fun building it. These are elements that will need to be included in your character. These are all sections of the worksheet. You're going to do an overview. I didn't put a place for an image, but if you have an image, an inspo image for this character, or if you wanted to create one, feel free to drop it in there. We love pictures. There's an extensive backstory interview, the role in the story. You need to talk about their wants, their needs, their goals, their fears, their flaws. There needs to be some form of stakes and consequences. This is not necessarily a background character. This is a person that actually has a role in the plot. And we will have the character arc. This is really important. We are actually going to do a little bit into a character arc of this character, as well as identify some key relationships. It sounds like a lot, but actually once you get into it, it's quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want to talk a little bit about the AutoCrit tools that we're going to be using for this, Catherine?
Sure. So we are going to unlock for you guys a pro member perk. We never unlock this really. So this is very, very exciting for us. The story builder, which is in our planning tab. It is a brainstorming tool. I'm going to stop right here and go. It is not a generative tool. It's not going to write for you or create this character. It will give you ideas and then you have to go do the work. Is something that our planners love. And as a pantser, I usually use it after the book is done to help me reverse outline. But there are some helpful tools in there if you're having trouble getting started with what maybe you want to do with the character that we're going to unlock for you to use during this challenge. And of course, everybody who has registered for the challenge has been given a free AutoCrit account during the challenge. We will not ask you to use any tools that require you to pay during this challenge. It is 100% free to participate and to submit. So we encourage you to go check out the replays of one of our getting started demos we did last week to get familiar with sort of how to use AutoCrit's Writer's Desk. I'm going to, since we have a second, pull it up very, very quickly just so you can see where to go to this builder. And then if you would like to tune in at 2 p.m. Eastern today, we have an office hour section or session that we do every week, and we can answer your questions about how to get going in the site and everything like that. So I'm going to share here. All right, Becca, can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. You're muted, I think. But
I can.
Okay, awesome. So this is the AutoCrit Hub. We have events and things in here. You can click on this big post to see the replays of one of our getting started demos. But we give all AutoCrit members access to the Writer's Desk, this portion, for free. So you can come in here and write as much as you want. You can have as many files as you want. We do not cap you in order to use our system. So we would love for you to try writing. You would come in here and click blank document and start writing about your character. So my character name is Shri, and I love her, and she's amazing. And she might or might not be a weasel shifter, but that is completely beside the point. So going over to the planning tab, you'll see a fiction and nonfiction story builder. You can click the fiction builder and then new idea and go down to characters. And you can pick, like Shri is the antagonist. So I'm going to write about her here, but it's going to give me some ideas of things that you would expect in an antagonist. And if you don't have anybody in mind, you can start randomly generating new ideas for what kind of antagonist could I write. Now, this is not going to read what you wrote. If you write something here and then click that button, it will erase it. So if you have something you want to know, like I know that Shri is a weasel shifter, and I know that Shri also has the power of invisibility and may have some other little backstory things that I really like, I can go down here to my premise and type in that something about Shri being a weasel shifter and then generate ideas. But we can go more into this as we go further in the challenge. This is more of a, here is how you get to this tool. Here's how you would get started really in AutoCrit. And of course, as I said before, if you have questions, just hit the little help bubble in the bottom right corner and our technical team can help anytime.
Looks like we have a couple questions, Catherine, and about some of the verbiage that we use, and I'm always happy to answer them. Chris, you're asking what is a pantser versus a plantser versus a planner. We do use these terms a lot. So a pantser, and thank you to Abe in the comments, a pantser is a discovery writer. You may not know where you're going, but you're going to ride the wave and tell the story as it goes along in your head. A planner, you're going to be more outline focused, so you really want to know what you're writing before you start writing. And then there's folks like myself that are somewhere in the middle. We call ourselves plantsers. We do like a little bit of control, we like a little bit of planning, but we also have to leave room for some chaos as well, because I can start writing something and it can be flowing, and then all of a sudden I need room to pivot. So that is kind of where that middle ground is.
And someone said this. I do believe, now I write dark epic fantasy, and therefore villains are important, that villains should be the second most important character, if you have one, to the main character / two main characters if you're writing romance. The villain is the hero of their story. They have wants, needs, goals, and fears. If they're a well-rounded and deep villain, then they also have an arc. They started somewhere, they're working up. It's just their end, depending on whether you write dark like me or sweet cozies, is going to end with them being redeemed or them unalived or their end some other terrible way. But every character in your story should be their own person. No character should just exist solely for the protagonist to get to move along with their life. Now, like I said before, how much of this you then apply to the readers, that's different. The reader's not going to know the entire villain arc necessarily, but me knowing it makes me write them and their interactions and what they decide to do differently, because I look at them as a person and not just evil for evil's sake.
Yep.
All right.
We have Cyber Station says, I'm considering myself a panner. I pick up a bunch of junk and shake it out for gold bits. I love that. Now we need a fourth category. Genre requirements, none. I don't care. You can do whatever genre you want. You can do contemporary, you can do paranormal, you can do an orc, you can do fantasy, you can do horror, you can do some sort of mishmash of all of those. In fact, please just be able to identify what genre you're doing and knock yourself out.
Yeah. And I would say, yes, you can do nonfiction. We aren't really going to be pulling up all the nitty-gritty details of the characters that you submit for the challenge. So there's this privacy concern, Becca,
right.
on the identity of their characters, who are real people, who may or may not have been good people.
I would probably use a pseudonym for this exercise, just to keep everything on the up and up there. It says, what is a weasel shifter? A weasel shifter is a shapeshifter from like the paranormal side of things. So you have someone who can shift into an animal form, and they shift into a weasel, which is fantastic. I have a lot of unusual shifters in some of my work, and I don't have a weasel, and now I'm deeply invested in Catherine's weasel shifter.
I have a ferret in one book and now a weasel. I was like, oh, there's a theme.
Yeah, I have a seagull shifter.
Love it. They don't have to be a shifter to win.
No one asked for it, but they got it. Where will we be able to find the character worksheet? That is coming up next. Hold on.
Yeah, thank you for segueing perfectly into it.
So we're going to have the character deep dive worksheet must be completely filled out, and you must attach the story builder for your character to your submission, even if your story builder is done after the fact, which is totally fine. And in fact, if you are not a hardcore planner, you might want to do it after the fact. The worksheet is going to be given to you in a email that is coming in the next hour to your inbox if you are registered for this this challenge. And you will be able to then, it's a Google Doc, there'll be instructions. You can then make a copy of it, save it to your computer, and upload it to the writer's desk, where you will then be able to, it will already have the headings and stuff, and you can just answer the questions inside. I do not have a word count per question type thing. That's not, I just need them to be answered. If you can answer them succinctly and that can go on your merry way, then go for it. But I would encourage you to spend some time with these questions and really think about them. There's going to be some that I'm I can't speak for all the planners, but for my planters and pantsers, there's definitely going to be some questions on there that you probably haven't asked yourself about your characters intentionally to the point where you had to write an answer about them. So that's it says, does the character have to be a human, or can it be an animal or even a spirit entity? It can be whatever you want. Yeah.
And for the sake of this challenge, I would say if you're wanting to push yourself and use this in a book you're planning to publish, you may want this to be a character of your own original creation. If you do choose to use a public domain character, the Tiny Tim sibling is a good example, using one that isn't already fleshed out for you. Because what's the fun in a character challenge where somebody else did all the work and you just are putting it in there?
Yeah, like if you write Jane Austen fan fiction, for example, and you chose Mr. Collins, someone, if you've read Jane Austen, that we all have very strong feelings about, and you decided to take Mr. Collins as a character and go wild, develop that in a different way because you specifically write in that particular niche, which is JAF or Jane Austen fan fiction. As long as you can sell it, then I'm not going to complain. Now, if you take Sherlock Holmes and just fill in everything we know about Sherlock Holmes and make some assumptions, then that's not really the spirit of this. Does that make sense? That's just taking an existing character and answering questions about them. Jonathan Krasinski asks, "Wait, is Jane Austen fanfic a thing?" It's not only a thing; it's it's a vibrant thing. You can actually look on Amazon look for Jaff, Jaff, and you can also look all over the internet. But Jane Austen fanfiction, yeah, it's a thing. Will the email have instructions? Yes, we will have instructions on how to attach. So the initial email is going to have how to upload, and then the second email that you'll get next week will be how to submit, and that will have the instructions for the worksheet and the story builder are two separate things, but when you share the file to us in the submission form, it will include your story builder.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Pride and Prejudice and Weasel Shifters, make it a thing. Yes, someone make that a thing. I'll read that in a heartbeat. Make it, tag it. I'm down. I would like to see
Collins
all of the
weasel.
characters of Jane Austen as unusual shifters. Please and thank you. Weasel Prejudice. This is great. I love it. Okay, so again, where to find? The worksheet will be shared via a download link and email after kickoff. Great. The story builder is already unlocked for all registered participants. You can still register, and then it will be unlocked for you. Let's see, what else? We're not doing twists for this challenge, but we will be doing another live next week to talk about it, and specifically talk about submissions. This is a quick one. You have 2 weeks to do this, and then the winners will be chosen the following week.
Yeah.
So
please make this hard for us. We want your original,
yes, I want
creative characters.
I want characters that I'm going to write an email back and be like, "Where is this book? Bring it to me." So yeah, spend some time with it because it's super fun and it's a great way, especially if you've been experiencing writer's block or you've been kind of struggling with how to get your words out. This is a great way to jumpstart that. We do have short story challenge coming up in May, so this is an opportunity to perhaps start thinking ahead about a character that could appear in one of those short stories too. So you never know.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
I think we've got most of these down. And as we said earlier, if you are participating in the challenge, you should already have access to this. If you did not have access to the builder, you may want to check that you have actually registered for the challenge. So you can do that for free. I'll pull the link back up on the screen because I put it up just a minute ago, so now I'm trying to find it. If you're not sure if you're registered, you can hit the little bubble in the bottom right corner of AutoCrit anytime, and our support team can let you know whether or not they've got you on the list.
You can go ahead and use an existing original character if you have one, and if you, especially, this is what I would do I have a series right now where people are yelling at me about getting one of my side characters their own book because they just do cameos and they're funny. And I haven't given a lot of backstory to this character. They're just like comic relief that shows up and makes snarky comments. So modeled after myself. And I would do something like that. I would take that character and build them out completely. Now, for the character arc part, if you don't have a story for this character, you're just gonna have to imagine something where this character arc could go. You don't necessarily have to then create a whole outline for a story. You could just give us the basics of what that character arc would look like, and I think that would be fine, right, Catherine?
Yeah, I think we'll talk about character arcs next week and what that means. There's usually two different kinds. Like in dark fantasy, we're doing a dark fantasy workshop, and we're talking about how a lot of times main characters do a reverse arc
Mm-hmm.
where they start in one place and then they bottom out and then they come back up stronger. And then you have more of the standard. They start in one place and then they get stronger and stronger and stronger, head off against something, and then have a humbling or dark moment and come down to who they're going to be in the end. So we will accept either of those.
Yep.
Over the course. Do we have to use the builder? Is a question on here.
I mean, the mandatory part is you have to fill out all the questions on the worksheet. I would, if you're leery about doing the builder, what you could do is fill out the whole worksheet, then open up the builder, and if you're writing the protagonist or the antagonist, run the builder bit on what you have already put in so that you can
You don't
double
have
check.
to generate
But
ideas with the
you don't
builder.
have
You can
to
use
at
it as
all.
a
No.
typing thing. Yep.
The character sheet does not go in the builder. The character sheet goes in your writer's desk. It's a new blank document, and you just answer the questions.
Yeah. And someone asked, you retain all rights to your character. We do not train
Yep.
our system on members' work. So even if you use the builder, our builder is not going to be learning or keeping your ideas or anything like that. It is solely brainstorming, and it will not be retaining any of your work. So you can take that character and do whatever you want with them. They are still 100% yours.
Mm-hmm. Lynn, sorry, not sorry that the telemarketer does not like the lovely sound of my voice.
So AutoCrit Pro, someone mentioned having these tools already. Yes, if you're an AutoCrit Pro lifetime, monthly, or annual member, you have already had access to the builder. We're glad that you're seeing it for the first time. If you have questions about using it, you are welcome to reach out to us as well. I'm going to drop the link to a special we have running right now for AutoCrit Pro, which is not required for the challenge. But if you are interested, you can sign up here, and that will give you access to the pro member perks. And really the pro member side is the full suite, because right now as a free challenge member, your suite's still going to have some restricted access to certain editing tools, but it will give you the full suite of planning, writing, editing, formatting, and now marketing tools, as well as pro member live events that are led by the instructors in our academy, as well as our pro member community forums if you want to hang out in the forums and brainstorm about character stuff. But it is not required. Lifetime, we only offer lifetime memberships to AutoCrit Pro. So if you're a lifetime member, you are an AutoCrit Pro member.
And the difference is merely the subscription. So if you're a lifetime member, you're not paying subscription anymore. You just paid the one fee and you have access forever. Yes, Market Fuel is amazing. I just ran my latest lead magnet. I finished it over the weekend through Market Fuel, and it was fantastic. It gave me lots of different ideas, and I highly recommend it. If you are curious about what the heck we're talking about, you can, as you log into AutoCrit, you're going to go over to the calendar. You can look at past events, and we have demos of Market Fuel, which is our latest tool to help you sell your book.
There's also one on YouTube. So YouTube people, you can just go hop over there as well. But we hope that if you are tuning in and you haven't signed up yet, we hope that you will come along with us and have fun with this brainstorming side. We hope to see you around the community. And as I said, we're about to hop off here because we have a 2 p.m. live office hour for all of our members. So if you are new to AutoCrit, you've never used it before, maybe you want to see how to upload a file so you can go ahead and get started on that, then you can join us for office hour. That is at 2 p.m. Eastern, so in just a few minutes.
Yes, and you will get your email with the worksheet and things you need to get started within the next hour. So it is scheduled to go out. So I'm on the Pacific time, so I have to like do math in my head. What time is it Eastern time right now? It's almost 2. So it's scheduled to go out at 2:30. Now deliverability to your email inbox is, I can't control that, but it is scheduled to go out at 2:30. So you're able to get started on this challenge. And I am, let's see. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Michael asks,
The
I'm
4 dates.
4 dates.
Today's
Yes.
the kickoff. Next week, we're going to talk about the challenge. We'll go into those character arcs. On the 22nd is when we're opening submissions up, right? And we're going to talk about what to submit. And then we will announce the winners on the 29th. So
Yep.
4 dates, all for this challenge. At Tuesday, if you want anything, hit the bell on YouTube. But Tuesdays at 1 p.m., this is where you're going to want to be.
And we will be announcing what our prizes details are next week. So Josh, stay tuned. We have some fun creative prizes for this one. I'm excited about it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care. Good luck.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.